So on Friday's Real Time, Bill Maher attempted to destroy liberal purists for causing Trump. So let's watch.
But in the case of Donald Trump, I will say this about 100 days. It does give us enough evidence to ask those liberals who couldn't bring themselves to vote for Hillary because she was the lesser of two evils, quite a bit lesser, wouldn't you say now? And no, this isn't about reliving the last election or about my great love for Hillary, which never was. It's about winning the next election. And that begins with learning the difference between an imperfect friend and a deadly enemy.
So look at the framing on how Bill Maher puts that point out there. He's blaming liberal purists for thinking that Hillary Clinton was the lesser of two evils, implying that it's their fault that Donald Trump is in the White House. Now let me tell you, this is what he's doing there. The framing on that point ignores the fact that maybe, just maybe, the candidate, the campaign, and the party should try to reach out to voters. Maybe, possibly, it's their fault that they didn't go where the votes were. There are a lot of progressives in America. It is a giant amount of voters that have been untapped. Now, why is it their fault that they either didn't feel compelled to vote at all or felt that their vote was better used on someone like Jill Stein? Because in their minds, it more represented how they felt the country should go. Why is that the voters' fault? Isn't the whole point of voting is you want to vote for the person that you agree most with? Why is it the fault of the voter that they voted for who they wanted to vote for? Why isn't it not the fault of the candidate for not reaching out to those voters? Look, I ran in an election. I ran as a Green Party MP in Canada. I lost. Did I go to the papers, the local papers the next day and say, well, the voters are dumb. The voters they're just stupid. It's their fault. The reason I lost is because of them. No. No, I didn't. When you lose an election, you don't blame the voters. It's not the voters' fault. You have to get your message out there. A lot of times, look, it's obviously there are other cogs in the machine that cause a candidate to win. Media is a massive factor. Now, blame could be put on the media for not properly discussing Donald Trump and all his policy faults, for getting too caught up in the drama, too caught up in his words and his tweets, instead of focusing on what his policies may actually do, or his varying positions on different policy. And the reality that we don't really know what he's going to do, because he may have said, yeah, he wants to cover everybody on healthcare, except the fact that Republicans don't want to do that. There are many ways they could have shown Donald Trump as a fraud, but they decided to focus on his dumb words and him being an idiot, which, you know what? If you don't get that in the first 5 minutes of seeing Donald Trump talk, then a year of media coverage about it isn't going to change your mind. So how about some context on what his policy is and how he differed from Hillary Clinton? Now, if you want to blame media, absolutely. Media is a huge part of it. But another massive part is the fact that Hillary Clinton did not go after progressive voters. Now, I'm going to have another video on what I'm about to talk about for half a second. But she could have chose Bernie Sanders as her VP. Now, there are 1,000 reasons why it wouldn't even really make a difference. That it would just purely be for show. But the reality is, if she chose Bernie Sanders as her VP, she would be president right now. Why isn't Hillary Clinton being hit on that? For the fact that she wanted the spotlight. She wanted to be the popular one on the ticket. So she did not choose Bernie Sanders. Because her policies did not align with him. because she didn't like him, because she knew he was more popular than she was. Why doesn't she get hate for that? Why isn't that the topic of discussion? Why is it liberal purists who want to vote the way they choose to vote? Because it's a democracy, and people can run how they want to run, and we can vote for who we want to vote for. Now, there's more clips I want to get to, so I don't want to waste too much time talking right now. Next clip. This is when he gets into Jill Stein.
Jill Stein said of her electoral rivals, Hillary and Trump, "To me, one is death by gunshot wound, and the other is death by strangulation." Well, I'm sure with Trump in charge and a racist attorney general, there'll be a lot more of both.
Now look at the end of that clip. Those clips he showed of overuse of force by police officers on black men, those things happened under Obama. That was under Obama. So was Hillary Clinton supposed to be the savior of that? Now look, obviously, Jeff Sessions is a terrible attorney general. But the point he's trying to make here is that things were hunky-dory before. But at the same time, he's saying that they weren't. So, was voting Hillary supposed to prevent police abuse? I don't even know what he's trying to say here. It doesn't make any sense. And look, I disagree with Jill Stein on her point. But she was running for president. And she's not going to say, yeah, you know what? Vote for Hillary Clinton. She's just not going to do that. So she's going to try to make it sound like they're both equal. Because regardless of what she says, it's not going to change your vote. If you're looking for a reason to not vote for Jill Stein, her telling you that Hillary Clinton is a better candidate than Donald Trump isn't going to make you vote for her. So I think that quote was dumb. I think it's stupid. It doesn't help her either way, really. But not saying it doesn't help her either way. So it doesn't. Again, they can say what they want. She had a policy platform that better aligned with a lot of people. Better than what Hillary Clinton had. Now, you could say, obviously, Jill Stein is not going to be president. Yeah. That doesn't change the fact that people are either going to stay home or vote for Jill Stein. So to blame the voters doesn't make any sense. Because if Jill Stein is not an option, if there isn't an alternative for a lot of people, they're just not going to vote. You thinking that their vote is automatically going to Hillary Clinton doesn't make any sense. In fact, it might actually go to Trump. A lot of Obama voters switched to Trump. So why are Jill Stein voters at fault? Or libertarian voters at fault? They vote for who they want to vote for. The onus is on the candidate to get the votes. Let's go to the next clip here.
My dear friend Cornel West said during the campaign, "I think Trump will be a neo-fascist catastrophe and Clinton will be a neoliberal disaster." I don't even know what a neoliberal disaster even means. But whatever it is, isn't it better than a fascist one? Have you people lost your fucking minds?
I would say, yeah. A neoliberal is better than a fascist. At the same time, Cornel West wasn't wrong. So it's your decision. Do you want a fascist or a neoliberal? I think the overall point that Cornel West was trying to make there is that why are these the only options? And you're not going to grow a third party if you keep ignoring third parties. And look, I'm someone who thinks that if you're in a state that was a swing state, a state that could have gone to Trump instead of Hillary Clinton, if it was me, I would have voted for Hillary Clinton. In Pennsylvania, for example. In Michigan. But it's not on me to tell you how you should have voted. You get to make up your own mind. So this constant blaming of the left, how about all the people that voted for Trump over Clinton in terms of Obama voters? The Obama voters that voted for Donald Trump instead of Hillary Clinton. Maybe there should be a deep dive on why that happened. And I'm not saying blame those voters. I'm saying let's look into why they voted that way. If there's that sort of turnover, that's a noticeable turnover in a state like Pennsylvania, why did that happen? Let's look into why that happened. What was it? Was it policy? Was it the fact that they just didn't like the Clintons? What was it that made them vote for Trump? And maybe we should adjust, if it's policy, which, by the way, it was, we should adjust our policy as a party to shift in the direction of where the voters are. Why is the onus on the voters to come and find you? That's not how it works. That's not how elections work. That's not how democracy works. The onus is on the candidate to find the voters. Find out where the voters are, what policies they want, and appeal to them. That's how this shit works. Let's go to the next clip here.
Under Hillary, would we have Attorney General Foghorn Leghorn? Or Montgomery Burns in charge of the EPA? Or Rick Perry guarding the nukes? Would she have a cabinet made up almost entirely of rich, straight, white men? You know, Hillary, she knows quite a few black people. Trump knows too.
Again, I'm not arguing with Maher's overall point. I also think Hillary Clinton would have been a better president than Donald Trump. But the conclusion that he makes from this, that it's liberals' fault, which there's more of that, the end of it especially, you'll see, that he's blaming liberals for not voting for Hillary is insane. And you know what? People Green Party voters that voted for Jill Stein aren't going to watch this and be like, you know what, Bill? You're being a complete asshole, but you're right. No. They voted for Jill Stein because they believed in what she represented. They liked her policies. Whether it was to send a message or whether they thought mistakenly that she could actually win, it doesn't matter. They voted for her for a reason. Now it's up to the other candidates that want that vote to discover why they voted for her. What can I do to appeal to those voters? That's on the candidate. Next clip.
Before the election, Edward Snowden tweeted, 2016, a choice between Donald Trump and Goldman Sachs. Yeah, so what happened? The anti-Wall Street crowd that was too pure to vote for Hillary ended up putting Goldman Sachs people as Trump's top political strategist, the head of his economic council, and our Treasury Secretary. The trifecta.
Yeah, I agree. Trump completely fooled people on that point. That doesn't mean that Hillary Clinton would have been any better in terms of Goldman Sachs, in terms of the big banks. And again, I'm not defending Donald Trump here. I agree with Maher's overall point. Hillary is a better president, would have been a better president, but it's not the fault of liberals.
If Hillary was president now, would we be turning the clock back on the one issue for which there is no more time, climate change?
And to me, that's probably the biggest point. Hillary Clinton would not be as bad on the environment as Trump. And I know you're all yelling, how about fracking? Yeah, you're right. Hillary was a master fracker. She went around the world promoting fracking. That's terrible. She should not be doing that. At the same time, she would not be dismantling the EPA. She would not put a guy at the head of it who spent his entire life so far trying to get rid of it. She would not be trying to get out of the Paris Climate Agreement. So on climate change, it's clear who is a better candidate. But again, let's get to the last clip here. The conclusion that Maher makes is incorrect.
Then maybe you'll join me in saying to the liberal purists, go fuck yourselves with a locally grown organic cucumber.
That's hilarious. I'm sure they're going to be on board now. You won their heart over, Bill. Now they're going to vote next time the way you want them to vote. Because you told them to fuck themselves. Yeah. That's how that shit works. That's how you get candidates. That's how you get voters on your side. Tell them to fuck themselves. You want progressive policy? Fuck you. Fuck you. Vote for me. You want a Green New Deal? Fuck you. Vote for me. You want free education? Fuck you. Vote for me. Yeah, that's not how that works. It's on the candidate to go and get their votes. Figure out the policies that appeal to voters, and maybe, just maybe, the voters will come.